Organisers from Stroud Pride, which has received national lottery funding, called for performers to take part in its annual celebration, but told volunteers that it would not accept LGB views. They appear to be referencing those members of the lesbian, gay and bisexual community who are critical of transgender and queer rights being under the same banner as gay rights. To talk this through, I am delighted to welcome back Andrew Doyle!
Hello.
This is weird!
It is weird, I know.
Andrew, there you are.
Yeah, here I am. How are you, Josh?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
It's lovely.
It's exciting to be here.
It is. Well, it's exciting to have you back. It's great. It's just a weird flippage of seating.
Yeah, because I never sat in this seat.
Yeah. Is it life like? Is it better?
It's quite a nice seat. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's fine.
Fine, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Well, let's talk about the story because it's mental.
Yes.
As that's what the show that you created covers.
Yeah.
Did you read about it in the newspapers? It was
well, that was
the Telegraph.
Well, the first thing was it was obviously going online quite a lot, and a lot of gay activists were sharing it because they were very concerned, because obviously Stroud Pride it looked like it was saying it didn't want gay people there. Of course, that's not quite what it was saying. It was saying it didn't want anyone with LGB views, which has kind of become a shorthand for those who don't believe that the TQ plus should be connected to the LGB. And there's very good reason for that. You know, LGB is about the rights of people who are same-sex attracted. That's lesbians, gay people and bisexual people.
And that's an inherent characteristic.
That's an inherent characteristic, absolutely. And then you've got the TQ plus, and the plus could mean absolutely anything, and all of that just means something to do with this vague, nebulous notion of gender identity and this idea that people are attracted to other people's spirit, in a way, a sort of gendered soul. Now, of course, to be gay means that you are attracted to members of your own sex, not your own gender, whatever that means, because no one can define it anyway. So gay rights are predicated on this realisation or recognition that there are a minority of people in every population who are attracted to their own sex. The gender identity movement tries to eliminate that and says that's not a thing. And that's why, for instance, there was a recent TV show fronted, I think, by Danny Minogue, where they had which was all about gay men.
I Kissed a Boy.
Yeah, I Kissed a Boy, about gay men hooking up, and they put a woman in there who identifies as male. And in a way, that's kind of like gay conversion therapy. What you're sort of saying is, you should be attracted to this person, even though you are innately not. And I think gay people are kind of sick of it. They're sick of being shamed for their sexual orientation.
Because they would, I guess the accusation would be you're a bigot or you're a transphobe if you weren't to be sexually active with someone of the opposite sex but who identifies as your sex.
Exactly.
Which we also, I guess we saw this kind of all started really with lesbians being told that they should sleep with trans women who are essentially biological men who still have all of their bits and were attracted to women.
Yeah, and not only that, but shaming them for it. I mean, there's all sorts of lesbian dating apps now with a lot of men on those apps who identify as female. But we're talking about people with beards, fully intact, you know, like proper hulking men.
Sounds like a joke, but it's crazy. The examples online.
It's all over the place.
And there's cotton ceiling, is that one of the terms that was used?
Cotton ceiling is the notion that there's a kind of barrier that trans-identified people have to face in order to get into the pants of women. That's hence you get the cotton ceiling, it's a variation of the glass ceiling, right? Now, that's quite disturbing, because what they're saying is we have to find a way to coerce lesbians, women who are attracted to other women, to be attracted to us. You get the same thing with gay men. Now, on Grindr, for instance, Grindr is a gay hookup app. I'm explaining because I know you won't know what that is, right?
Mate, I've got 1,000 followers on it.
Yeah, you do, actually. It's the app where you can pinpoint another gay man to the nearest foot using satellite technology. It's actually very weird if you think about it for more than a moment. But that app now, because it's always allowed you to filter out according to various tastes, you know, height, age, whatever it might be. But it doesn't allow you, if you're a gay man, to filter out women who identify as men. And on the website, Grindr actually says, we're not going to do this because trans women are women and it would be bigoted. In other words, Grindr, a gay hookup app that has made a fortune off gay men's sex drive, is now shaming gay men for being gay. Now, this sounds like the stuff of fiction. This sounds like it's absolutely insane. But it's going on all over the place. I mean, I mentioned this I Kissed a Boy show with Danny Minogue. Danny Minogue, by the way, who said that she identified as queer, and then someone called her out on it and said, well, aren't you in a straight relation? And she said, yeah, no, I only sleep with men. I just think I'm queer, right? What are you talking about?
But isn't that what the whole point of queer, the Q and the plus, is, as various people have said, it's so straight people with having their hair dyed pink. Or
it's straight people with a fetishistic martyr complex.
Yeah.
It's straight people trying to identify into an oppressed class. So what you have is, I mean, there was that survey in America of young Christians, actually, between the ages of something like 18 and 25. Something like 40% were identifying as LGBTQ+. Statistically speaking, that means that the majority of people who are now identifying within that LGBTQ+ bracket are straight.
Yeah.
Now, what that means is that Pride, in its current manifestation, is a predominantly straight festival, heterosexual festival, right? To the extent that there are now lesbians and gay men who are setting up their own alternative prides.
Okay.
It's very complicated. The reason why Stroud Pride doesn't really want people who are gay or espouse gay rights there, remembering, by the way, that the TQ+ element, represented by that Progress Pride flag, not the rainbow flag.
The one with the arrow.
The one with the arrow and the circle and all the other junk just thrown onto it. That eyesore now represents a movement that wants to castrate and sterilise gay youth, that wants to fix and heterosexualise and normalise that gay youth, like the mullahs in Tehran do. Right, so in other words, when you fly that flag, and when people see that flag, a lot of gay people see that flag and they think, that means gay people aren't welcome here. That means that Pride is now a homophobic festival. Wow. Pride itself is homophobic. If you don't believe me, look on the account of Fred Sargent, who was one of the 4 individuals who set up the first ever Pride March in 1970. It was called the Christopher Street Liberation Day March, then became Pride. He's now said that Pride is homophobic. Gay people have to reject Pride. We have to turn our backs on Pride. There's a real problem with that because the corporate world doesn't understand that. A lot of gay rights activist groups don't understand that. But anyone, any business, school, NHS, hospital, company, whatever you are, if you're flying that Progress Pride flag, you need to know that you're flying a divisive symbol which is really anti-gay, essentially. And a lot of gay people feel that way. And a lot of women feel that it's against women's rights as well. Right, so it is a divisive symbol. It shouldn't be flown by public bodies, for instance. It shouldn't be all over Regent Street in the way that it is annually every year. It is time for gay people to say, no, Pride does not represent us. In Cardiff, lesbians were kicked out of Pride because they were carrying banners saying lesbians don't like penises. Well, you know what?
Shocking.
They don't. They don't because they're lesbians.
Not in the videos I've seen.
Yeah, but you have very niche tastes, don't you, Josh? But it's a real problem, the shaming of gay people. I mean, gay rights is really going backwards, hurtling backwards, I should say. The other problem, of course, is because of all the TQ+ craziness, you know, with sort of people in fetish gear twerking in front of children at Pride events, you know, that kind of thing. And because they've lumped it all together as LGBTQ+, a lot of people think it's gay people's fault. And they've started saying, well, we shouldn't have let them have gay marriage. We shouldn't have allowed them all these rights because look what's happening now. Not realising that the people doing that kind of thing are anti-gay themselves. They're against the notion of gay rights because they don't think homosexuality exists. Right, so it's a real problem. And in fact, in America, there are now, I think, up to 5 states trying to repeal same-sex marriage in America. Support for gay people and gay rights has gone down in America quite considerably. All of this is happening because of this. You have gay people being shamed for being gay. I mentioned the Danny Minogue show, but there was also that First Dates show on TV. I don't know if you saw that, where there was a young gay man. He'd just come out. He'd always been uncomfortable with his sexuality. He'd just come out, and they set him up on a blind date, and he was very excited, and they set him up with a woman. They set him up with a girl who identifies as male. So this young boy who had just come to terms with his sexuality, not an easy thing to do at that age, was effectively been subjected to conversion therapy on live TV, and because of the stigma about saying anything about it, he had to go along with it. Now, if you think about that for one moment, if you think about the kind of psychological trauma that could cause, the kind of aggressive anti-gay quality of that, it's hugely disturbing.
And the irony, I guess, being that the producers in that case thought they were being progressive.
Right.
Or being kind or
and
inclusive.
I think Stroud Pride think they're being progressive and kind and inclusive. I think by this, I mean, what they're doing might not be legal, as it happens, because they're effectively saying people with gender-critical views are not allowed, but that's against the law because gender-critical views are protected in the Equality Act. So they might be on dodgy legal ground. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to say definitively.
But I have read similar things. LGBT Alliance, I believe, who have consulted lawyers, are looking into it. In that way.
And they're right to, because, you know, this is, it's very, very, well, at the very least, even if it might be well-intentioned, Stroud Pride should listen to what gay people are saying and try and understand. I mean, part of the problem we have is that homophobia, which is a word that is often thrown about, you know, without much thought, but actually it does exist, and it always exists, and I think it always will exist, and I think it'll exist everywhere. Gay people at the moment are facing a pushback from trans rights activists, a lot of them are homophobic, vehemently so. They've reintroduced various gay slurs into the lexicon that I won't be able to say here on TV. They talk about how AIDS was a good thing. They really barrage and attack gay people online. So you've got that going on from people who identify on the left. Yep. You've got the far right and the usual typical Christian right who are talking about gay people being degenerates and evil. They're attacking them. There's a small, sizable minority of gender-critical feminists who despise gay men and attack them online. You know, I've been dogpiled by gender-critical feminists who just hate gay men. They just go after gay men, right? That, by the way, is the huge minority. Most gender-critical feminists are very pro-gay and they're as horrified by this behaviour. But that minority is a sizable contingent. I've had it over the last few days. Just crazed, psychotic hatred. And they have a real issue with gay men. And so, therefore, gay people are taking it from... They're getting attacked from multiple fronts. It doesn't help when people who claim to be allies to the gay cause, like Stroud Pride...
It's not that they claim to be allies of the gay cause, they claim to be the gay cause.
Well, that's it as well, yeah.
The TQ plus to that cause.
Same with Stonewall. So Stonewall was the foremost gay rights charity of this country. It's named after the Stonewall riots, of course, which was a catalyst to gay rights back in it was 1969. But Stonewall embraced gender identity ideology around 2015, and they've been going down this road, even though it is an anti-gay ideology. People don't understand this. They can't grasp that the foremost gay charity has become effectively an anti-gay charity because the charity itself doesn't think it is.
Well, they changed the terminology of being gay, right?
They actually altered the website so that homosexual or gay was defined as being attracted to someone of the same gender, which it isn't.
Which is an illusion.
Gay, it doesn't mean anything. No one can define the phrase gender identity, not even trans activists themselves. They've tried to, but they never can. When I spoke to Robin Moira White on this show, a trans barrister, I said, what's the definition of gender identity? And the answer I got, the essence of male or female. What does that mean? A spirit. You're talking about souls. Now, that's fine. Anyone is free to believe in their own metaphysical worldview. I completely support that. I believe in freedom of belief. But this particular religious worldview has formed the basis of public policy, public health policy and law policy. It's formed the basis of national curricula. It's in hospitals, right? So all of this it's been implemented. And look, when Jackie Smith, who's the spokesperson for equalities for the government in the House of Lords, was asked specifically in the House of Lords, what is the government's working definition of gender identity? She couldn't answer the question. And she even said, she effectively said, this is like a gotcha. Why don't you take this seriously?
They want to put it into law, something they can't define.
They cannot define something that they want to legislate. They want to build it into law. And it's already to a degree in law, isn't it? Right? So we really need to be able to define what that means. We need to be able to identify the threat that gender identity poses to gay rights, because it is an existential threat, right? It completely undermines the root basis of gay rights, which, as I've said, is the notion that some people are attracted to members of their own sex, is being undermined if you say that that does not exist, that biological sex does not exist, but this esoteric notion of a gendered soul must substitute for that, right? So that's a real issue.
So what's happened with the Stroud Pride, then, bringing it back to that, is the schism has been revealed. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think most people are certainly like bosses of companies. They don't understand these issues. But when you see something like this, when a pride organisation meant to be advocating for gay rights is basically, in essence, saying gay people or some gay people don't turn up. We don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Do you think that shows how the situation is changing, that more homosexuals are realising the homophobia within the TQ plus ideology?
I think, yes. I think part of the problem has been that a lot of people haven't realised it's there. It's been too complicated. Activists have been too successful when it comes to redefining terminology. And, of course, a lot of people didn't believe it. Like, if you say to them, you know, there are a lot of men on lesbian dating sites now shaming lesbians who won't go on dates with them. People, that sounds like I've made it up. It sounds like a satirical thing, but it's actually happening, right? You know, people think that, you know, even the men in women's prisons thing, no one thought. That went on for so long, and it is still going on. There are still men in women's prisons in this country, in spite of the Supreme Court ruling, because that hasn't had the full knock-on effect yet. But when you say that's happening, when you say, well, how can that be? How can a rapist be moved to a female prison where he goes on to commit further sexual assaults that actually happened, by the way, a man who identified as Karen, right? How can that happen? You tell people that, they think you're making it up. But all of this is happening.
They think you're a bigot.
or they think you're a bigot because you're not standing up for the rights of rapists. Yeah. Is that what they mean? Because they really need to think about that, don't they? They need to think about what are the implications of what they're saying. When Stroud says people with LGB views are not welcome, they might not mean gay people, but the language that they use is most definitely exposing that schism and exposing the dark homophobic heart of the genderist movement.
Yeah. I should quickly say part of the reason that you're back here in the is because you have a book out. Now, you have an interview next week with Camilla Tominey, who I'm a massive fan of, on this very channel, so I don't really want to get into the book, but we can certainly mention it because also you're doing a couple of live events, I think Spiked and also Free Speech Union holding sort of live talks with you. Is that...
Yeah, we're doing, so not this week, but the week after, I'm doing a few live events, one for Unheard, one for Spiked, one for the Free Speech Union, and all of those details are available online on my Twitter. The book is available for pre-order, so please do, and then you'll get it bang on the day, on the release day, just a couple of weeks away. But like you say, I'll be talking to Camilla all about the book. I think you can guess what it's about from the title. Yes,
it could be a little hint there.
Yeah.
I should quickly say Stroud Pride has responded to this controversy by posting the following statement on their Facebook account. We do not wish for anyone with harmful views to be present at Pride. This includes views that we believe trans people are not part, that believe trans people are not part of the LGBTQ+ community. Sorry, I'm a little bit frazzled because Andrew's here. I miss you so much, Andrew!